BattleVault, a no dice, no glory podcast, and this is the Mop 4 edition. Hey Tom, what's on the agenda for today?
Hey Ed, how you doing? Well, maybe we should explain to the folks what MOP 4 is. Why don't you tell them what that means?
Mop 4, Mission Operation Protective Posture. This is where we put on our chemical suit and our mask to protect ourselves from chemical weapons.
Yeah,
So, here we are in isolation at our confinement at our houses, and we're doing this without looking at each other. So, this is what we're doing. So, our Mop 4 edition, episode number 1, Mop 4.
well, it's episode 4 as well as MOP 4 edition. So there you go. It's the fourth
Yeah.
one we're putting out there. So today we're going to have our normal, regular opening with mention and dispatches. That's where we'll go over what's happening out there in the Flames of War and Team Yankee tournament scene, the recent events, the top placers, and if we can, their list that they ran. Then we're going to move into another segment. This one we're going to be calling Heroes of the Hobby. And so what we want to do with this was start to interview some of the people out there that are helping to sustain and grow the Flames of War Team Yankee hobby. So we're looking for those club leaders, and we've already done 2 interviews. And the first of those you'll have today will be from Joe Lewis from Able Company, who is one of their founding members, and also the guy behind BattleRankings.com and Toys for Tots. So we'll hear from Joe. And then we're going to come back and talk about future ops to wrap it up. And we're going to things we're excited about in the near future and things that we can work on while we're stuck in our basements and our hobby rooms for the next month or so. So how's that sound to you, Ed?
That sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good, because that's what we're doing.
Let's do it.
Johnny tank!
Hey Tom, let's go ahead and talk about the past events, and lots happened here the past month.
Yeah, this is our mentioned in dispatches section where we try to look at the events that have occurred out there and how people placed on them. So, Ed, why don't you start us off there?
Okay. All right. Looking at the Realm Mid-War 90.3 round thing at Bray, California on the 22nd of February. You got in first place, we had Stephen Lawless playing Italians. And I'm glad to see that because, I love playing my Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to go over his force too? Because I've got his breakdown of his force, and it's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, what he had was a headquarters M14 and a platoon of 4 M14s.
All right. So he's running a tank formation then.
Yeah. And then he had 2 platoons of Semiventes, one with 5 in it, one with 4.
Okay.
2 recon platoons with AB41s, 3 each. And he had captured 25 pounders. I haven't used those. I just usually use the 100 pounders.
Yeah, you're probably you're like the one British or one Italian player in the U.S. who does not use captured 25 pounders.
Use the
Yeah, it's very popular.
I'll take the 100 millimeter. But he also had an 88 millimeter anti-tank gun and 3 Semivente 90-53s, and so those are pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I followed up with him after I got his list. He was using that tournament apparently allowed the community created cards that are up on the Flames of War website. So he was using one of those options in there.
Yeah, those are good. I didn't even know it was out there. I know the version 3 had it out there, and I had mine for my Italians, but that was the first I'd seen it when you showed it to me.
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool.
you just have to convince some TOs to let you use them, and you can run them in there. Or you can just run those Semivente 90-53s, just use as a Lancia stats, because they're so similar. It's basically a gun platform.
It's a gun platform, but it does have armor on it, 400 armor.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Super slow.
That's debatable that it has armor. It's got that little tiny thin gun screen for the crew, and it just sits on top of a hull. So it has no more gun shield than the Lancia has. But so anyway, whatever. It's two ways to get around it. Either get people to let you use the cards, or you just run them as Lancias. So, but he was able to do the prior.
Hey, you and I weren't at Fort Sill together at the same time, but at the Fort Sill Museum, they actually have one there,
No.
which is pretty cool. It's missing its track, but it's still there. So of the 30 that was built, we actually have one at Fort Sill. Pretty cool.
Okay. And so who was second place?
Second place, we got Raymond Law,
Okay.
Loh. I'm sorry if I
Okay.
mispronounced his name. And then third place was Christian Sorensen.
Yeah.
And
And according to Stephen, Raymond was running Panzer threes and L-46s, so must have two different formations.
mhm.
And then Christian was also running two formations: U.S. engineer, para engineers, and Churchills. It's
Yeah,
kind of interesting
not a weird
combination there.
combination, but there it is.
Okay. And I'll cover the next one, which
Okay.
was Legions. Did a Team Yankee version 2 event, 93 pointer, back on the 22nd of February. They had 10 players present. And the first place player was East German, a guy named Jim Naughton, who I do not know Jim. I don't think he's traveled out west with some of the other guys who come out our way. And then second place was Rob North playing UK. And this would be before the release of the new British book, I think. I don't think they would have had those there. And
Right.
third place, I do know. That's Howard West, and he was running East Germans. He was also at
Yeah,
Sensicon.
I've seen him
Yeah,
before, I
yeah.
think.
He and Rich Bear often come out to the Ohio events. So and occasionally the ones we have here in Kentucky. All right, so that takes us out to I believe
Sensicon.
Sensicon. Yeah, all right.
And
You know
I
about
was at this one actually. I was at the mid-war. But anyway, we had a 3-round tournament, 90 points, and this was on the 6th of March, and we had 14 players in it. I was playing Soviets there, and you know how I love playing my Soviets. However, my Soviets were not very happy that day. Uh, they did not do too well. But anyway, so it wasn't me that was in the top half, that was for sure.
but it was a Soviet. Yes, it was
I
a
did.
so it was
I
a Soviet player who was in the top half.
Yes, yes. Ben, I Events, Events.
Avanska.
I've always say his name wrong. Sorry. Avenska.
Okay.
All right, and then
And
Tristan Jacobs was in second place. He was playing Italian for us, really nice. And then our buddy Jim McKinney, who we almost see at all the events we go to,
yeah.
but he was playing Soviets as well.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the list that Tristan and Jim played?
Uh,
No.
no, no. You know my memory, Tom.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
know
know
they
I know
played
Ben.
Soviets. I know the guy that won our second place had a really nice looking Italian force.
Yeah. Well, I know that Ben he runs the mixed tankovi with the heavy tanks and the
Mhm.
the KVs and Valentines and so on. So some
No,
sort of variation of that. But also at the same day on March 6th, this was a Friday. There was also a Team Yankee tournament going on the side, and I chose to play in that. It was kind of an escalation. We had 70 points, then 90 points, then ended up with 120, and there was only 7 players in that event. And Christian Bach took number 1. I played him in the last round, and he did a pretty good job rolling my forces. He had a formation of U.S. Army M60s, and then he had and then another formation of Marine Corps Lavs. And I thought it was more Soviet than Soviet. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff on the board, and I'm not used to being outnumbered in Team Yankee, but he did a pretty good job in I believe we played a free for all kind of mission, and he just came at me. So and he kept me on my heels. So he gained and maintained the initiative the whole time and did very well with it. And then Howard West, who we just talked about from the Legions tournament from the weekend before, he came in second, also running East Germans, like he did in the previous one. And then the third place winner was some schmuck named Tom Burgess. So
who's that guy?
yeah, and I was running Soviets. I'll tell you a funny story about that event. I didn't really pay attention to the instructions, I guess, when I signed up. I knew it was 70, 90, 120 for each of the 3
Right.
rounds. But all three lists that I put together had a single formation. And apparently, in the second and third round, we were supposed to have had two formations. So I had to on the spot break up my tank company, which I had as one of my units. It had 7 T-72s, so I had to convert that into a formation of one headquarters tank and two platoons of 3 T-72s each to make my force legal. So that yeah, kind of got inside my mind in the last two rounds, and was kind of interesting improvisation.
Yeah.
But then we rolled into Saturday, and I don't have the results here for the World War One event. They did have 6 players playing World War One. I guess it was a tournament. I think they played a certain number of rounds and rotated opponents, but I think it was just more of a casual, have fun thing. And it looked great. They all had the trenches out and a good number of forces. But that was
But
kind of the. Go ahead.
yeah, they had it down. They were playing it as a tournament. They had 3 rounds, and there were 6 players, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they,
but my point was that it was extremely casual. You wouldn't know that it was a tournament. It looked like 6 guys just having a good time playing Great War.
right. No, that's cool. Well,
Yeah, and our buddy Anthony Berger was in there,
yeah,
and I think Carl may have played the tournament organizer may have been playing in that one too. But we didn't have much time to go over there and see what was going on, because while that was going on concurrently, there was a 22 player late war tournament running. And so why don't you run that one down there, Ed?
yes, yes. Are you getting tired of saying your name all the time? Okay, so
No, no.
yeah, you were 3rd place on that thing. I'm looking at the battle rankings results
Well,
there.
once you
Okay,
start at the
so
top.
yeah, there you go. It was a 100-point 3-round game there again in Cincinnati, the Cincicon. And Joe Lewis came in 1st place there, playing his Germans. Chris Fretz, his battle buddy and travel buddy, was playing his Americans. And then you, having just finished painting your beautiful American force there, came in 3rd place.
Yeah, and Joe, I know, was running Panzer Grenadiers with one of the downgrade cards.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was there's the 116th, and there's like the 9th Panzer Rebuilding and the Greyhound cards. There's 2 of them. One of them takes off 1 point per unit. One takes off 2 points per unit. I can't remember which one he had, but he had one of those. He also had the pack front, with the 88s, which has been an
Yes.
extremely popular choice for German players.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure what he had for tanks. He may have had some Stugs, and I think he had the 6 half tracks with a short 75. Had those things in there for the Panzer Grenadiers and some Panzer Grenadier mortars, and so pretty well handled list. I believe he won all his rounds too. Chris running his typical armored rifles.
Hmm.
If you know Chris Fretz, he always plays U.S. stuff when given the option, and he tends to play the armored rifles
Yes.
quite a bit, with 76 Shermans and tank destroyers and support, and I think a platoon of regular Shermans. And another thing that he's been running a lot lately too is the Free French platoon that
Yes,
gets
he
added onto
had
it.
that then as well.
Yeah, and mine, I ended up running. It's the same force I was going to run at Wolfcraig, the exact same one, which is a trained U.S. tank company, and it had. Besides the headquarters, a platoon of 75 Shermans, a platoon of 76 Shermans, a platoon of M5 Stewarts. They were all 5 apiece. And then it had a tank destroyer platoon of M10s attached. Then a veteran rifle support unit platoon, priest, armored mortars, and so and the reconnaissance, the M8 recon patrol. So pretty balanced
Right.
force, and did okay. I can't remember how because we played Wolfcraig after that, it's kind of hard for me to remember how the rounds went with that one, but it was a good event. I had a good time with there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was still playing my 21st there. I took the
Yeah,
pure 21st force up to Indy Storm the previous 2 weeks earlier. I
right,
think it was about 2 weeks earlier.
right.
Anyway, and so your recommendation was to put a little more firepower in there. So I went ahead and changed
Yeah,
my
more tanks.
21st. Yep, I did the Panzer IV formation with the 21st Panzer Grenadier Infantry with the full platoon there, and plus the 21st other units that go with that. But I've had Luck in there, Von Luck, like you suggested, and he didn't help me any,
No, no.
except for the last round. He did bring in my reserves. He failed to bring him on the first two turns. I had immediate reserves, but on the third turn, I got all three of them together, and that was perfect timing, and it kept me from losing.
Yeah, that was nice. Well, how'd you end up in that?
But I still placed 16th out of 22
Oh, okay.
overall.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I still think it's just you just have to have those tanks. But
yeah.
did you change your formation at all? Your list breakdown before you went to Wolf Creek, or did you keep the exact
Oh,
same
no,
thing?
I changed it.
Okay,
I
well,
changed it based.
we'll come to that when we get to Wolf Creek. I just was
Yeah, that's a
just
good idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. So let's go hit the next event was Dreamers up in
Hmm.
Minneapolis, our good buddies up there. Also on the 7th of March, that same Saturday that we were playing down in Cincinnati. They had a mid-war tournament for 90 points, 3 rounds, and had 7 players, so a pretty small event for them. They normally will get usually a dozen plus. And apparently, I guess these guys might be brother or certainly relatives. Michael Krahn, Krahn,
Yeah.
and a Nathan Krahn were the number one and number two. Michael playing Americans and Nathan playing Germans. And then Keith Gilmore playing Germans. We know Keith very well.
Yes.
He's kind of one of the main organizers up there. So not much more information on that event, but and I wonder why it was small for them. It must have been some
Well,
timing
this is
issues.
with the coronavirus starting to kick up, then maybe that can't
Nah,
repeat.
not that early. That
Not
was
that
not.
early.
No, that was not a thing that weekend. But
Yeah.
within the next 7 days, it was a thing. And
Yes. Yes. We end up losing some of our players that were going to come to
yeah,
Wolf Creek. Yeah.
that's right, because that's the next event that we have are tracking. Wolf Creek was on the 14th and 15th of March in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. 100 points, 5 rounds. D-Day themed, red on blue only, and it was pretty awesome. We had 43 players, so one of our larger one debate, and we would have had more, but some folks started, probably prudently decided to not attend
Hmm.
because of that's when the social distancing and the crowd concerns or the size of groups started to become an issue. So all that stuff kind of started just during that week. So between Sensicon on the 7th of March and 14th of March, it was a totally different world as far as what was happening and across the scene.
Yeah.
But we kicked off the event, and to my knowledge, nobody's had any issues. Nobody's gotten ill. If anybody has, give us a heads up because we were there. We'd like to know. But now
Yeah.
that was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, so we would have known by now if we'd pick something up from there, I suppose. But it was a great event, and so the top
Actually,
players. Go ahead.
Tom, that was only 2 weeks ago. It just seems like it because
Oh,
of our work schedule.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And neither of us did
That
particularly
was
well.
just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and neither you and I, neither of us did particularly well. I can't remember where we ended up, but right about the middle, I guess.
Let's see. I ended up 17th, and I think you were 21. So we still finished in the top half.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I've managed to with my change of force, and I did the same thing Joe did. He had the pack front card, and I
Mhm.
had 88s there as well. So
Did you use the pack front also?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
What'd you think?
I liked it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it. They were my long range firepower, and they seemed to want to try to knock those out. Of course, they're a big threat, but they kept on hanging in there, which allowed my other stuff to be able to hang on there and do stuff. I only lost one game, but
Mm.
yeah, so I won two. I had two draws, and um,
One
I had
loss.
the one loss. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I in my last round I played Brian Huss, and he, one of our local players, and he
yeah.
had the pack front too. And normally they're kind of hard to clear out. If the player keeps them at long range and in an overwatch position, they're usually pretty effective. But he happened to put two on a hill, and they just happened to be close enough together for me to get a template on. And would you believe it? My little 60 millimeter mortar ranged in, and even with rerolls, hit both of them. Neither passed their save, and I passed the reroll firepowers for both of them. So my little 60 millimeter mortar, in one bombardment took out two pack front 88s.
Captain America.
That was pretty spectacular. Of course, by that point, it was the last round. My fate wasn't really going to matter very much, whichever way the battle went, and we were just having a good time. So it was all good, but it was a good event. And the tank force that I had, I struggled with it. I think trained, just getting hit too easily. So I think next time I run U.S. tanks, I'll probably revert to veteran tanks, just for the heart. It's less gun tubes, but also they're much more staying power for the force. They don't get picked off quite as quickly. So I'll do that. But let's talk about the top three, because we had with 43 players. We're going to have some of the top players in the nation show up, and expectedly, those are the three that, or at least some of the ones that ended up being in the top three. So first off was James, the winner, James Best Senior.
That's right.
Yep, the elder Best, and he was running kind of an interesting formation. Austin Copeland was running a similar force. They traveled together, so I think they probably kind of war game this kind of list out, but. It's a huge infantry force. It's two rifle companies, two separate formations, and basically the idea is take a lot of darn universal carriers. So
a lot of them.
Yeah,
two different formations in his force.
Yeah, he had rifle company with 2 platoons and a mortar platoon, and then it had 1, 2, 3 universal carrier platoons and a WASP platoon, which is technically also universal carrier, and another WASP carrier platoon. So that was one formation. And then the other one had 2 line rifle companies, and they were all there was standard sized platoons, I guess. And then mortar platoon, carrier platoon, another carrier platoon, and a WASP platoon.
He also had the artillery expert, and I fought somebody else that had that artillery expert, and that worked out really well for that person.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how that got in there, because I don't think that's one of the D-Day British command cards. There's one of those in mid-war, so it's kind of tough. The list I had, we asked him to send his list to us so we could talk about the winning list. So it's a handwritten list, so it's kind of hard to read some of the notes, I guess, in there. Right. But so I'm not sure. Maybe I need to learn something, but I wasn't sure that artillery expert is actually a late war command card for the British. Maybe it was from the was it in the Fortress Europe, the original Forces of Late War? The stopgap book we had a while back. They came out with a few cards for them, but anyway, so not a big deal. And also had a assault pioneer platoon card. So one of those infantry platoons was actually running around as assault pioneers, and so it's pretty interesting. So, anyways, and Austin, I think, running a similar list, was in the top 5 or 6. I can't remember. He was, but he was up there towards the top 2.
Yeah, but I was amazed that they did it as well as they had, because they didn't have the tanks, And I was thinking, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff there, but no tanks. I thought surely somebody would have run them over, but it did not happen.
No, I think relying on the only anti-tank asset being Piat launchers on universal carriers, I don't know if that's what I want to think about for my anti-tank option, but hey, it worked, and we'll talk about that later on too. But you can't argue with success.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could have done anything, and if I was facing this kind of force, I would not be facing it because I was running allies. But what have you faced them with your 21st Panzers? How do you think you would have fared against that list?
I think I would have fared quite well. I had a lot of machine guns. I had a lot of half tracks. I had the 88s, but that wouldn't have been big for this. But it still would have, have been something. Well, you can assault those things and they'll fall. But
sure.
I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff.
Even your
hard to do,
even your multi-barreled launcher.
Multi-mortar. I didn't bring multi-mortars to Wolf Creek.
That's probably a good choice.
Leopard 105s.
Yeah.
And so but it got
Uh,
me by dropping that. I was able to get the pack front in
yeah.
88s.
Well, I could possibly put a list like this together if I use my mid-war British and my late-war British. I don't have, but if we want to try to run it. But anyways,
I've got all the universal carriers. I've got so many of them. I just haven't finished painting them all.
Yeah. So, anyways, well, his son, James Best Jr.,
Right.
was the second place at Wolf Craig, and he was running Germans, and he had a Fallschirmjäger formation. His force, if you recall from 2 episodes ago, we did the interview with Vincent Arroyo from the Las Vegas Open, and his force was extremely similar to what Vincent ran. The basically Fallschirmjäger formation, one maxed out platoon, one small platoon. He had an interesting change. I'll get to that in a minute. He also had the Nebelwerfer battery, but James Jr. only ran one, whereas Vincent ran two. Also had the Breach Defender Grenadiers, which Vincent had two. Also had the Stu 42 unit, the Assault Howitzer platoon. But the difference was Jim Jr. left off one of the Nebelwerfer batteries, added in the machine gun platoon, which is a formation unit, and then he took pack front for the. We also have 88s with pack front is kind of common recurring theme now, right? And he also, this is what kind of I thought was extremely interesting. For those 4 MG heavy machine guns, he also took a machine gun nest card. It was only 2 points. So he had 4 pack guns, 4 88s, as independent teams, and they also had 4 machine gun nests as independent teams. And I think he defended quite a bit. And when I was asking him, it was his general stance. So it looks like a pretty good defensive force. And he said that he probably should have attacked when he played his dad, because his dad beat him in the second to last round. So in any case, interesting force. And again, another infantry force. Only had 4 Stews for armor support, and relied heavily on the 88s for the anti-tank capability. But man, if you came in second out of 43 players, can't argue with that. And then Chris Jackson was number 3, and hardly surprising. We of course know Chris pretty well.
Chris all the time. He gets me all the time.
Yeah, and what I like about Chris's force, he was running Armored Rifle Company as his U.S. Armored Rifle Company's formation. He's basically running the same kind of force that would have been run under version 3. I mean, it's just a straight up, the two platoons of armored rifles,
right?
And not the he did not max them out. They're the slightly shorter platoons, which really isn't hardly short, but it's the one with 4 half tracks instead of 5 half tracks. He also took a heavy machine gun platoon and 57 millimeter anti-tank guns, which I know he's kind of questioning. I think they're pretty good, but he used them to good effect when we played at Indy Storm. But
this is really similar to his Indy Storm list. That was an 88-point thing.
I think it's almost exactly that. Yeah, it's his Indy Storm Plus, right?
Right. He pulled out one of his M10 platoons and substituted that with Sherman 76s.
Yeah.
A full, 5 tanks? I can't remember.
The 4 tanks.
4 tanks. Okay.
Yeah. And at Indy Storm, he had a full platoon of M10s and then a half platoon, which I don't like that half platoon. But at least fix that.
We both played him at Indy Storm.
Yeah,
we did. The first game, and I lost 3-6.
Yeah. I lost 3-6 also. So anyway, and he also still had the Free French platoon. So anyway, it's pretty cool. Good to see. So we had a good mix overall. I don't know if you have the battlerankings.com list up there, Ed, but
I do actually.
So just run down real quick, just because I want people to understand how the mix of the Allied and Axis went. So just go from
hang on. I got the battle rankings tournament results up right now.
Yeah, well, run, let them know, because I thought it was a pretty darn good mix. I mean, it was we kind of expected the British to dominate, with all the new bells and whistles that just come out, but they were, James Best Sr. is going to do well with any list, so it wasn't like, that was this magical combination for him. And it's just kind of lucky on how things worked out, I suppose, with matchups and all.
Yeah.
So you got it?
No.
Okay. Well, just take it for granted, or just believe me. It was very good diversification going up and down the list. You didn't probably go any more than two levels of the ladder before it switched back and forth between Allied and
Right.
Axis. So
Yeah, and in the top half, if I recall, the top half was two heavier, so of the top 21 that we just happened to be in, um, there were two more Germans than there were Allies.
yeah, and the Germans actually overall had more points, so they
Yeah.
were just slightly better. So
Mhm.
there you go. And
But the
they've
top
only got
Yeah, go ahead.
they've only got one of their D-Day books even available right now.
Yeah,
They don't even have the SS book yet. So
yeah. But the top dogs were heavier Allied.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
overall, there were more Germans in the top half.
yeah. But Jim Best Jr. was number 2.
Yeah, right.
So it was pretty good break. I mean, but what I'm trying to drive at here, a lot of people thought that the German book was underwhelming, that the American book and the British book provided so many more options. But skilled hands, the Germans do just as well as they ever did.
Yeah.
And they have another book yet to come, so they might have more options in the future. So that pretty much wraps us up for events that we can broadcast now. One thing I just kind of like, I don't know what your thoughts are, Ed, but I kind of like seeing all this infantry doing very, very well.
Yes, I like it too, and I really would have liked if they brought more infantry. So so because I wanted to play my pure 21st with all my 21st pieces in it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you would have done great.
but that would have been a little better
Yeah,
for me, I think.
well, I keep trying to coach you to be able to take on the tank fight, but then
Yeah,
that ends up not being what you face.
right.
And of course, I ran all tanks, and I didn't do particularly well. So U.S. tank formation. So
Mhm.
there's this kind of mantra that this whole game system is all attack and armor forces are where it's at, but you just see guys doing extremely well with infantry and mechanized infantry.
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
yeah. So tanks are not the end all, I guess.
Yeah, but
So
those people doing well with the infantry force was not me.
yeah, yeah. For me, the irony is that all through version 3, I played a little bit of version 2. I
Yeah.
basically just came in on the tail end of version 2,
Mhm.
but through all version 3, I was almost just a diehard exclusive infantry player
Yeah.
all the time. And
Yeah,
then
you had British, I believe.
oh yeah, lots of variations of British rifles. And then when version 4 came out, I started playing Crusaders. I started getting into tank formations and very heavy, which I never did in version 3. And I've been trying to stick with tank formations, but I'm just not doing particularly well with them. So I need to kind of go back to my roots. I think go look at some infantry formations.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. So good to see. Well, any other thoughts about the formations, the trends? You see anything in there, Ed?
Well, I saw people really wanting to play some Churchills. That was what I was fearing I would run into, and I did. But fortunately, I happened to have the pack front with me for that Wolf Crag tournament, so
Yeah,
that kind of paid off.
yeah. Well, that definitely is a good antidote for that.
It
Definitely,
kept me
definitely.
from
So.
losing. I had two draws there, but it was enough to get me the win twice, so that was nice.
Yeah, and I didn't
My
see it.
concern right now is the future events that are coming up and then what the coronavirus, what kind of effect it's going to have on these things. As I was looking forward, and I know you were too. We were going to go to Adepticon, and that was going to be my first super big tournament that I've ever gone to.
Super big
And
convention.
yeah, I know. I haven't been to any really big ones other than Wolf Crag. Wolf Crag's been my biggest one that I've ever attended. So
Well, I think it's going to be a while before we can really discern what's going to happen.
yeah,
But I'm not going to try to be too speculative. But yeah, you're right. We were playing in April. First
yeah,
off,
the
the
Team
end of
Yankee.
March, right
Yeah,
this weekend, right now, we would have been up in Chicago at Adepticon playing
right.
Team Yankee and Flames of War, the two
Hmm.
nationals up there. Then we also had a early April event at Hard Knocks Games, Team Yankee again, another 120 point event. and then DayCon was going to be in April, and and so we're going to shoot up to Dayton on the 18th of April. So I was literally looking at four different tournaments in 3 weeks, and they're all gone.
And we actually had the I think mid-war Southern Nationals that was going to happen in Atlanta.
That's August. That's not. That's August.
I think it's August now.
No,
but they had some kind of big tournament in Atlanta that I was going to go to on the 18th also.
Oh well, that's possible. But Dragon Con is and still is out in August. So that's into the summer. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Historicon in July, Gen Con in August. DayCon now is going to be in August. We know that the guys up in Minneapolis were trying to do an alternate event for Adepticon, but reality kind of set in once the numbers started kicking up, and basically became a non-option, which right call to make. And so right now our game stores, I don't know, in Kentucky, our Hard Knocks games, you can't go in and play. Basically it's curbside service only. Basically roll up and they have a table set up on the front. I picked up some super glue and some flocking today. So, Chad had like a little table out in front of the front doors, and you just kind of come up and tell them what you want. Better if you can call it in ahead of time, they can have it ready for you. And he runs back and grabs it and brings it up and rings it out, and off you go. So and interestingly, I don't know if you've seen him, Ed, but on Facebook, Chad went and posted like photos of every single shelf. So like you could do virtual shopping.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So you can kind of scroll through that and then go in and say, I need this. And so pretty cool. They're doing pretty well. I asked them about the sales, and a lot of folks are coming in still to just do the curbside pickup. So, they're doing what they can do. And I don't think probably taking a bit of a loss, I suppose, but it didn't seem to be like they're in panic. Yeah, they're not in panic mode though. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and when we turn to normalcy. One thing that Ed and I do is the last every podcast we've done so far, we've done together. So we're social distancing right now. We're both on Discord, and he's at his apartment, and I'm back in my basement, and so we're used to recording face to face. So we've had to adjust and to get this out there. So, anyways, I guess that's enough for the past stuff. We're going to have a block here that follows interview with Joe Lewis from Able Company, and he's going to kind of give us some information about how they keep their local scene going and what he does to help promote the national scene. So with that, let's go ahead and take a break.
BattleVault is lame. Hard Knocks Games is awesome. You can get board games, trading card games, role-playing games, hobby supplies and tools, Gundam, Warhammer, and more. Find us on Facebook or hardknocksgames.com or visit us on the Dixie Highway.
All right, Ed, one of those winners from the Sensicon event you just mentioned, the top place finisher, Joe Lewis, is joining us tonight. We're lucky to have him on board because not only is he a founding member of Able Company, one of the strongest, longest-lasting Flames of War and Team Yankee groups out there in America, but he also is the one who keeps Rankings headquarters up and running for both the Flames of War and Team Yankee systems. So with that introduction, how you doing, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Thank you guys for having me on. And I don't know how lucky you are. I probably just been banging down your door. Oh, please get me on your podcast, please. And I think at SistyCon, I think I got up down on my knees begging to be here.
No, we asked you first. We solicited the invite here for you, and we're very glad that you came on board. So, Joe, two things I want to get at with you tonight is first off, let's start talking about the things that people may know you about for at large across the Flames of War community. And if they're not familiar with Joe out there, if you go look at Rankings headquarters, you're usually going to find him at the top. He's usually one of the top placing players, travels quite a bit and goes to a great number of events, which helps keep him up there. But he's also, of course, a good player that allows him to do well at those events. But if you didn't know it, he's the guy behind Rankings headquarters that keeps it all live and functional for both Flames of War and Team Yankee. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about Rankings headquarters and the kind of effort you have to put into it.
It's battlerankings.com. By the way, you got to say it 3 times, battlerankings.com, and I'll eventually say it again. And that's how people remember. But battlerankings.com, is where tournament organizers submit results for their tournaments, and all I do is just take the results and put them into our tabulation machine, and it cranks out what the scores are. So it just basically takes your top 4 finishes for the season and comes up with a score. Kind of like NASCAR a little bit, and the bigger the tournament, the bigger the score. You know, the higher you finish on, the bigger the tournament, the bigger the score. And you take your top 4, and you come up with a number, and then it ranks out who has the highest number to the on down. And the season for Flames of War starts October 1st, and the season for Team Yankee starts May 1st. So we're coming towards the end of the first year of Team Yankee, and it was going like gangbusters. And I know there were a bunch of Team Yankee tournaments that were scheduled for April, for March and April, that kind of got washed out here. But kind of looks, I was just looking at Team Yankee here. Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to end up with only 29 tournaments this year instead of the 40 that I was hoping for, which we were on track for, knowing what was out there. But anyway,
I was going to go to 3 tournaments. I was going to be doing Adepticon, the one at Hard Knocks Games in April, and then one up in Ohio that was going to be later in April. So I was looking at 3, this just between the end of March and through the late part of April, which are now not happening.
Yeah, there was those 3, and I think there was 4 more that I know of that was going to happen. So it's like after 2.0 came out, Team Yankee just took off, and people were running with it. And then I know a lot of people were like really excited about the nationals that was supposed to happen at Adepticon. That got canceled because of the virus breakout and social distancing. And so yeah, it was. So Team Yankee was just on fire, and I was just talking about was I picked up some tornadoes, the plastic tornadoes to paint for the tournament, and now I'm kind of like I'm painting them still, but I'm taking more of my time instead of doing my normal rush job right before a tournament.
You don't have that pressure.
Yeah, somehow I do better under pressure.
So one thing that on my lead in here is that I kept referring to battlerankings.com as ranking headquarters, which was kind of the original genesis, and that's why I have a hard time shaking the old name. Can you tell us about how it transitioned from rankings headquarters, which I think was Australian, a group that had that, and how it ended up becoming battleranking.com?
Yeah, okay. So it was it was about it was in 2014 that Rankings headquarters decided to change their business model, and they wanted to charge people to have the privilege of their stuff ranked. And this community, the Flames of War Team Yankee community, said, forget that noise. And they didn't want that. So a young gentleman, Jack, I'll just keep his name to Jack. He decided that he was going to create his own logarithm, and he hooked up with he moved to the East Coast. Eric
Reha with WW.
Yes, Eric Reha. Thank you. Yeah, and Eric was the first one to do we'll call the administration work. So Jack Dunn wrote all the code originally that you kind of know and love today. and Eric Rehal is the one that would key in the information. Eric, I know he got married, was starting to have a family, and he was also working on his master's, and then he moved. It's a big move cross country, and he just didn't have time for it. And so Eric and I talked, and I took it over from Eric, and so I do the admin side of it. That was about, I think, about 2015.
And then after WWPD closed down, then you went and started your own battlerankings.com site to host it all.
Right. Yeah. I decided that we didn't know what was going to happen with the what would Patton do? Didn't know what was going to do there. So I just went out and purchased a site, got with Jack, got things pointed to the site, and decided to make it a kind of like battle rankings. Kind of like Flames of War, Team Yankee, and Casual Play headquarters. It's just something I do on, that part I do on part time, whatever I get around to doing something, or something, the spirit moves me. I'll post something, or someone will write an article and I'll post it up. It's just meant to, promote the community.
Right. You've got a small forum going there, and you do some good video cast from conventions and so on, and some updates. So there's been some useful information come from that site.
Yeah. I'm obviously I'm a handsome fellow, but not a professional. And I interview people that like won a national tournament, or some local people, with Able Company. I always do a big Gen Con spot, and I tried to do something different. Last year, when I did with Gen Con, I just had people come up and just talk about, who they were and how they got into playing, and posted that up on the Battle Rankings YouTube site. And I got a link to that. Now it's kind of interesting to see what just came out of people's mouths about, off the top of their head, about their experiences playing, and, film that. I know I went to Las Vegas Open, and I ran around the convention there, filming and making commentary. Not a lot of people saw that, or this, that, or the other.
I did. I did. I was following on Facebook when you put up dates, and would tune in, and some of the stuff you were doing live.
Oh, I did it all live. No net, all live, no editing. Then the other thing is that with Able Company, many years ago, we started Toys for Tots, doing a tournament and raising toys for tots, and we would take the entry fee would be a toy, and then we would go to a spot and drop the toys off, and everyone's mildly surprised when you show up with a van full of toys. And so a couple 2 years ago, we decided to I wanted to take it to a new level, and I worked with a Battlefront. I said, hey, how can I take this next level, get more people into it? They came on board, and we hosted across the United States, and a couple places in Canada. And Canada has their own equivalent for Toys for Tots, and they do some local stuff there. And we raised a lot of toys, and it kind of made it a little bit competition about who can make the most toys. And it's all about building community. It's all about doing a good thing. That always takes place right after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving. We want to do the tournament around that time, because that's a good time to, get the toys to the to the Marines.
And besides tournaments, you guys also they'll do big battle games, because that tends to be what we run down here in Kentucky on the Toys for Tots. It tends to be the big battle, less so the tournaments, but always great days of gaming with whichever direction you go.
Right. Yeah. The idea is to get there, roll some dice, be a part of the community, and donate toys, and it's a pretty cool thing. I'm glad we're able to do that here, and Battlefront's stepped up to help us, because Battlefront, as part of it, their prize support is pretty ridiculous, because they'll draw everyone who participates. You get into a drawing, they'll pick the name out, and the top prize is your height in box sets, which is a lot. So that would really add to your painting queue.
Yeah. I managed to get lucky on one of the minor draws. I got a single box set, and I thought, well, what box set could I get that would be probably the most value? And I think I ended up getting the box set that had the 6 Nebelwerfers from mid-war. I think that was one of the more expensive ones, so I was able to score that. So it was pretty cool.
Yep.
So let's talk about, you mentioned Able Company a couple of times, your local group, and it's a group that I certainly am envious of. We've got a good gaming group here, and I'm happy and proud to be part of it. But man, Able Company just puts out a lot of events, has so many other themed things going on, and game nights, and being the main sponsors in Gen Con, where you run 4 or 5 tournaments. And I know the traveling players from your group very, very well, because we all go to the same events, and see you and Chris and Andrew and occasionally Scott and some of the other guys every now and then that tag along, that a little less frequently. But and then when you go up to your events, there's always another good half dozen plus guys that I don't see traveling outside Indianapolis. But I understand from you all, you have even a lot more than that.
We do. I'll go. I think here's the combination for the success. First of all, we have really great sponsors, which is stores. The main one is Family Time Games. They have stepped up. They bought terrain. They support us, and we support the store. And another game store that supports us. They just don't have a room to hold a tournament. That's Sinclair Games. Those 2 stores provide us places to play, like Family Time Games comes up and provides us, like, for example, when we do Gen Con, Family Time Games supplies us the terrain that we use, that we take to the convention, instead of taking our own.
That terrain set, you brought them down to Kentucky a couple of times too, so you travel with that stuff. We some of that's our personal stuff, and some that's from the store. So yes, Shane at Family Time Game, he really supports us. That's first of all. Then of course he gets the support from us, which is very important. Because obviously, he's doing it to promote the community, but obviously he's doing that because he's looking to get sales. We do it because he helps, because we promote the community, and we want a place to play, so we help him, hopefully with the sales. And that's the symbiotic relationship there. And you also want opponents to play against.
Well, of course. And the thing is, the next important thing is that we have a very we have a leader that promotes things there, and then really puts a lot of time and effort into it. That's Chris Fretz. I'll give him a lot of credit for the work he does to promote the community. Chris, he's not your typical gamer. He didn't come from playing other games. This is the only game he's ever really known or played. Hell, I don't even know if I even saw him play tic-tac-toe before. Okay. And so this is the only game he knows and plays, and he puts all his energy into it. And with that, he knows the importance of having a vibrant community. And so with his gentle hand, he has helped lay the foundation for a good community. And on top of that, Andrew Hobson and myself, we support when we can and do the things that we do. But one of the main things is that all three of us do is to help promote it. When we play someone, especially someone's trying to get into the game, the idea is to nurture and develop. I have seen times that some people, they'll get a new opponent and then just smash, just punch them in the face, literally, not, figuratively, with their army. And that person's like, wow, that sucked. And it did not have a pleasant experience. Even though they might, you play and you help them, nurture them and get them better. Because the idea is, kind of like, the Red Baron, and one of his things is that he said that aces breed aces. So what we want to do is help develop and nurture our own and breed aces. And out of that, we've had players that come up and, from the first start, and then they play us a bunch of times, and they learn from us, and we discuss and talk, and kind of like like fire pirates do when they come back and they talk about, I started moving my hands as if you guys said you could see it.
It's called it's called the after action review.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all about nurturing, and it's all about nurturing and being, nurturing folks at it. And the thing is that, because the thing is that, Chris and myself and Andrew, we're competitive, but we're not competitive to that we're jerks, or at least I try not to be a jerk. And then Chris, if he's not winning a tournament, he's probably winning best sport. So
yeah.
But just kind of the nature of that of Chris. Now, Chris, he's the one that handles all the details for Gen Con, and he's the one that makes that very successful. We do we do 3 days of tournaments. And so like this year coming up for Gen Con, we're going to do a Team Yankee tournament, mid-war, and a late war tournament, one in each day. So you could play all three if you want, or you could just, get your fix in, play one day, and Gen Con's huge, so you can do a bunch of other stuff too. So we developed.
Yeah, with the cancellation of Adepticon, I think I've still yet, sadly, to ever get to Gen Con, even though I'm only a couple hours away. Usually it's around my wife's birthday, so that's always been problematic for me to get free. But with the cancellation of Adepticon, I might be able to get the horsepower needed to finally go and enjoy Gen Con with you all.
Well, the people there at Gen Con, the scheduling people, they have actually put us on the football field because it's grown that much. And so, each last 2 years, we've been on around the 30, 40-yard line. And it's pretty cool. I noticed one thing, the lighting. When you're playing, there's not a shadow to be seen anywhere on the board because the lighting's so incredible. And also they put a platform, a plastic platform over the field. So you because it's kind of a rubbery mat, it's really easy on the knees.
Nice, especially for multiple days of gaming. That'd be fantastic.
Yep.
Very cool.
But
So,
yeah, but the
one
thing
thing
about I'll just come around and let's tie this up. It comes around to two things for a community. One, people who will nurture it, lead it, nurture it, and a gaming store that's there to support you as you support them. So that's what we have. And
one thing that I got from your story from us talking earlier, I think up at Sensicon, you had mentioned that you'd gotten some by getting into other game systems. So you don't just play Flames of War, Team Yankee, you play some other game systems too, and you've been able to get some folks from those game systems to come try a game and then ultimately get involved.
I've been doing some D&D with my son, and one of the D&D players. The word got out that I play Flames of War, and they, started asking about it. I brought some, we set up a demo game. I ran it for them. They bit the bug, and they've been all over it. So that's another thing, just being there and supporting it, and now he's been doing tournaments. So
It was the guy, was it Steve or something that I met at Adepticon?
That was Doug.
Oh, Doug, yeah. And that was his first big tournament?
No, he was at, actually it was the second tournament. He was at Indie Storm.
Okay, yeah. All 12 of us, yeah.
So
that was good.
Yeah, that's a new that matter of fact, the guys from Indie Storm came up to us last summer saying, "Hey, we want to develop a con." I guess they were kind of modeling it after Adepticon, and they asked if we could support. They talked to Chris and I, and we said, "Okay, we could do that." They set us up. It was nice. It was well ran. I believe they made enough to break even, and they said they're going to be back next year, and we told them we would too. So that's something else that we're looking forward to support.
Good show. I really enjoyed it. So, well, very good. So you mentioned earlier, now you hadn't spilled the beans yet for me because you said you wanted to wait till a little later in our interview here, but you said you had some relatively significant news to share with the field out there.
Okay. So I reached out to Battlefront, and I said, I think in my email I said, in these dark, troubling times, we need hope. And
Nice.
I think, yes, and I said, and I think hope can come into the forms of something to look forward to. And so HistoricCon, Southern Nationals, which is I believe is going to be at DragonCon, and the Canadian Nationals are all a go. Right now, they are going to happen unless the government says we can't.
Right.
So they are going to happen. Battlefront is supporting those. There's going to be stuff coming up on their website and some Facebook stuff. And I said, we need to support and promote these things so that everyone knows that they're going to happen. And so that's going to happen. And the other thing out of that is that, pretty much, March is kind of lost, and April is probably going to be lost too, as far as doing stuff. If that's even organizing play or meeting up with your buddy to play, or even if you the tournaments that were scheduled are probably going to be scrapped, and who knows, it might also affect May. But I'm going to work with Battlefront to develop something for the game store so that we can get some organized league play at your local store. I don't know if that's going to probably just take the existing organized play kits and then roll them out again, or push them, but somehow get some organized play going again at the local store level. And so you're going to be seeing a push for that. And the other is there is going to be, on the schedule, a Team Yankee Masters. It's going to happen the third week of June. The question is the location. So they haven't finalized the location yet, but it's coming down to a couple places. And, I guess I could say who's kind of in the running for this. The Pittsburgh store, Legions, is in the running. And Family Time Games is also in the running. And there might be a couple other ones, but I think those are the two main ones right now. And, or there could be a dark horse that comes out somewhere, but just I'm teasing, but Masters for Team Yankee is going to happen. And, because the season ends at the end of April. That's pretty much the way the way things are set now is probably going the way they're going to be set, because I don't see another tournament happening in April, unless a miracle happens, which,
I wouldn't count on it. Not at all.
Well, maybe from my lips to God's ears, you never know.
So, maybe very late.
Anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to, get that going, and working with the guys at Battlefront, to get this thing going so that people have stuff to look forward to get their little toy soldiers out there and have some fun.
That'd be great. Is there a decision on the War Nationals yet for this year?
What's that?
Decision yet for the Flames of War Nationals this year?
Flames of War Nationals. Adepticon got wiped, but your Historicon Southern Nationals, which will be at DragonCon, and Canadian Nationals, those are all still nationals.
Right. I meant Masters. Is the Flames of War Masters for this year been determined yet? The location, and I guess the time would be November.
It's November, the week before Thanksgiving, which is the third week of November. No, I mean, we haven't even figured out where Team Yankee is going to be yet. But it could be in Utah.
Really? I had heard California, and so it was still out west to some degree, and so that was making me think if they do the Team Yankee Masters and more towards the East Coast, center of the country, that will certainly seem to be a little bit more accessible for a large part of the gaming population. Because Utah, wow, this is the first time I heard that, but I would not be surprised. Yeah,
it could be in Utah. There's a GameStar out in Utah that they submit a tournament once a year. So it could be there. Who knows? It hasn't been final. Like I've said, nothing's been finalized.
Game Store said GAJO. I'm not sure what that stands for, but the name of that game store out there.
Yes, and it's my favorite website on the web right now. You gotta go take a look at it if you .com. The website looks like it was developed in I want to say 97, 98. It's got all the flashing little like new tags and sirens and stuff, and they haven't, they kept it that look and feel, but have never updated it. And I showed my son, who's 16 now. I said, "Hey, this is what the internet looked like, back in the day."
Reminds me of the miniatures page. When you go look at the TMP site, it's like, okay, it looks exactly like it did in 1980 something.
Yes, or yeah, it's fantastic. I laughed my ass off when I saw that, and I'm like, this is awesome. Nice. But yeah, that's the things going on there. So that's the big thing is that Historicon, Southern Nationals, Canadian Nationals are on. They are, planning to do it, plan to be there. You know, book a room and then hold off as long as you can on your airline tickets.
Yeah.
By the way, I do believe the way things are going, the airlines will be really discounting to get people butts in the seats when this whole thing clears up. So it's it's probably a really good time to travel when this thing gets cleared up.
Let's hope so. This has been extremely annoying. We are lucky to have gotten Wolf Craig done just before it kind of things got closed down, but now there's nothing happening until at least probably the end of April as far as we can tell. And hope some of these canceled events are just actually deferred and they pop back up on the radar screen and we get back into our passion here.
Yeah, because part of the gaming experience is the what I like to call the hang. Because these are people that you get to know and have a relationship with in the kind of the buddy kind of terms, and you like to hang out and go get dinner afterwards and chit chat about the game. It's just it's a fun community. It's a great community. I'm glad to be part of it.
I've always had a great time. We travel quite a bit. I think I probably hit at least on average a tournament every month, and vast majority of those are outside the state. So it's always fun going out and hanging out. And although the listeners, at Sensicon, we tried to link up for just one of these dinner type link ups that Joe was talking about, and Ed and I went to the wrong. What were we trying to go to? Charlie's or something? And you went to a different O'Charlie's than we went to. So
yes,
we ended up missing out on that one. But we were trying.
Yeah. Oh, and it was Chris and Andrew and I got to talk a little bit, and we're like, oh, where the hell are you guys? You said you're 18 minutes out, and it's like half hour later.
Yeah, we're like, well, this is not the right O'Charlie's. So well, it was good. Well, good. Well, Joe, I appreciate you chiming in, and certainly look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. It won't be long till we get a chance to throw dice across the table.
Well, and, one thing, if I may, I know it will be after this broadcast, gets broadcast, but tomorrow night, which would be Tuesday the 24th, I am doing a live, Facebook Live talking about missions, the do's and don'ts of missions. And I'll be going over a lot of I played a lot of new people, and I'm going to go over the things I've noticed that people have gotten wrong about or misconceptions about missions, and talk about that and how to approach various different missions. And I'm going to take some Q&A for whoever shows up. If I get 10 people, I'll be tickled pink. But I think for this sequestering period, I'll probably do one a week like this, just to kind of get out there, promote the hobby, but also feel like I'm talking to people other than the three people I live with here at my house, even though I love them dearly.
It's just another way. It's just another dimension in which you go out to help help grow the hobby, Flames of War and Team Yankee, and help inspire gamers to go out and do great things.
And remember, the season's ending, battlerankings.com, and look for Toys for Tots to be announced somewhere around September, October timeframe.
And we'll make sure we cover that. And by the way, when we go over the mentions and dispatches to go over the past tournaments, we pull those directly from battlerankings.com. That's where we get that information. So definitely a good site, and check it out. See a lot of interesting information and people out there and where they're going and what they're doing. It's definitely worth a visit every now and then. Oh, and a great forum and other great articles as well, as we mentioned earlier. So please check out battlerankings.com when you get the opportunity.
All right, thank you.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot, and we'll take care, and we'll see you later.
All right, stay healthy, everyone.
Returning tank!
All right, so welcome to the Future Ops segment. This is where we talk about what's coming up in the future and things that we're excited about. So, Ed, what are you looking forward to here in the near future?
Well, I saw Battlefront came out with a new SS group there, and it looks like it's a huge set of German equipment and stuff, and it looked really good. A lot of stuff in that package.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want me to go over the detail on that too?
Yeah, just curious. I think a lot of people may have seen it online. It's go ahead and kind of give us the rundown.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We had some Tiger tanks and some Panther tanks. We also had a couple of the 88 model 43s, which pretty nice. A platoon of infantry,
Right.
2 Pumas, and I think it was 5 half tracks of the 250s, and then a 250 version that was the Recon with the 20 on it.
Yeah, it had I think a short platoon. It looked like it was only 5 infantry teams, 4 medium bases and 1 small base, and yeah, but that was pretty much the breakdown of the set.
Yeah,
So,
it's a total package and a diverse group. Not all tanks, not all infantry.
yeah,
A very playable force.
but it's missing one thing:
What's that?
fire support.
Yeah.
No mortars, no artillery, just infantry, tanks, and some anti-tank guns. But 2 Tigers and 5 Panthers. So if you haven't heard, the price point for these SS Panthers is going to be 9 points each.
Oh, that's good. Now it's feasible to actually get them.
Yeah, but they're going to be hit more frequently. They're going to be aggressive, so hit on 3s. So you're going to have to be relying on your armor, which is still going to be a 9. So, but it's still going to be a kind of a tougher thing for them.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well,
So
I'll definitely for 9 points. It's now a better option for me.
yeah, maybe we'll get to see something where folks take an SS Panther kind of tank formation, then have it backed up with like the another formation of beach defenders or something, some cheaper infantry with the fire support that's needed. That might be kind of an interesting option.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shall see. So also Team Yankee is coming out here pretty soon with their U.S. starter set. It's looking pretty good. A lot of folks have been waiting since the very beginning of Team Yankee for the M1A1 Abrams with the 120 millimeter gun, the Bradleys, they're in there, and also the Apaches. I even threw in some Humvees for you. So it looks like you're going to get looks like 5 M1 tanks and looks like 4 Bradleys. I don't know if that's a platoon or 2 sections of 2. Some scout. Oh, it also has fire support. Like I meant, it has the M109s, the long barrel 109s. A Humvee. Yeah, Humvee. Yeah, sweet for you, of course. Ed being an M109 guy from the past.
Right.
Some Humvees. Looks like tows, and it looks like a Mark 19 grenade launcher on the cover on one of them. Yeah. And then 50 cals and looks like tow launchers. And then Apaches, H-64s. Wow, be interesting to see how they do those with a Hellfire missile. I mean, it's pretty much overkill for anything Soviet, unless the T-80 is a really tough tank. So, pretty decent set. I already have most of this stuff. Obviously not the Bradleys and the Apaches, but I need to start working on my Team Yankee US stuff. I've got quite a bit of it stored up. I initially bought that when Team Yankee first came out, planning to do a US, Abrams tank company. I was going to do an IP company, and unfortunately, or fortunately, no one around here was playing Soviets. I've been playing nothing but Soviets ever since Team Yankee started, and still haven't yet to assemble a single of my U.S. Team Yankee collection. So might be something I start doing here in the period that's coming up as we're kind of locked in for a month or so. So what are you thinking about working on for the next month or so, Ed, while you're kind of maximizing your hobby time?
Well, I probably need to go ahead and work on my West Germans a little bit so that I can at least field a decent 120 point force. It shouldn't be too much more to add. I just had a couple more Leo 2s there. That's because they're so expensive. But
yep, just 2 more tanks will do it.
Yep. But I've still got all my stuff because I bought everything they've got for the West Germans. But I've only played and made about half of it. So I probably should get hot on that. But what I am still working on is my U.S. stuff. I had so much U.S. stuff. I said, well, I got to sit down and build it. So right now I'm working on a formation for the paratroopers, the infantry and all that, and a formation for the glider troops. And I think I've got enough for another formation for a ranger section too.
Yeah,
But
cool.
I just got so much American stuff. I'm just cranking them out now and getting them ready to go. So
Yeah,
making progress. Yeah.
I've been working on I'd like to consider odds and ends. I've been doing like painted 5 U.S. half tracks, did 4 Churchill Avres, and some Kangaroo transports. Did some Soviet recon. I had those leftover 251 Charlies from the mid-war project.
Oh yeah.
Had 3 of them. I figured, well, just what am I going to do with 3 of these? And I thought, well, heck, I'll just paint up Soviets, for captured use, and painted some armored cars to go with them. Because Bagration, we talked about the SS coming up for D-Day, but and then Team Yankee US, but right behind that is the Bagration stuff this summer.
Oh yes, I
Yeah.
can't wait till that comes out.
Yeah, we're hearing good things. Some folks have mentioned some options out there with the Panzerfaust troops. The Soviet armed Panzerfaust
Yeah,
troops.
right.
Heard that might be a feature coming up. Hopefully that pans out to be the case. Looking forward to seeing T-34-85s as a full formation, not mixed, because I hate mixing tanks in the same platoon, anyways. So looking forward to that, and I've been working.
IS-2s. I've got it. I've got 21 of them.
Good
I
Lord.
want to use them.
Good Lord. I wonder if you. I wonder if
I
you're
got a
able to.
full army.
What are they all resin and metal?
No, these are actually all plastic ones, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm about to say that's going to weigh a ton to carry those around.
My Churchills that I have, and I have about the same amount of Churchills, that is heavy.
Yeah,
I've never taken them to play anywhere because I don't want to weigh so much.
Yeah. The Churchill Avres
I haven't left the house yet.
Yeah, the Churchill Avres I just built were metal and resin, and I had the plastic sprues. I could have built them out of plastic, and I prefer plastic going forward, but I don't like mixing stuff in the same force. So all of my other breaching group stuff was metal and resin. The flail tanks and the Churchill crocodiles and the kangaroos were resin. So I really felt that I needed to continue with metal resin for that project. So I had to go scrounge on Amazon and eBay and some local stores to kind of come up with the Avres that I needed. But I got them, so I'll have 2 full sections of them going forward. But yeah, Bagration is going to be great. If you were Well, this is before I met you, Ed. We ran a very large Bagration Firestorm campaign, and we did that on the Battlefront forums. So we still have all those files, all the digit stuff that we needed, and we could reset that for the summer with the release of the East Front books to run on No Dice No Glory's forums, a forum moderated campaign.
Well, that sounds great to me. I'd really like to do that.
Yeah, you've done our D-Day campaign and our Market Garden campaign, so I think you may have even played in our World War I campaign using troops. But so yeah, we're due for running another one of those. We've got all the kit to run Bagration, so I think that's what we're going to do. So what side do you want to play in Bagration?
Oh, I think there's no doubt there. I definitely want to play the Russians.
Okay, you want to be the Russian CNC?
Oh, that sounds like a good thing to do.
Somebody's got to. Now we just need to find some schmo to be the German CNC.
What else? Come on, get in there.
Yeah. So anybody out there wants to volunteer at BattleVault, our podcast at BattleVault.com, and let us know if you'd like to play as the German CNC commander. We need at least someone to come up with the orders. It's too hard to get the orders from everybody. So typically we'll have 2 people be the commanders. They kind of give the orders for the turn. We do the resolution, set up the boards, get out the scenarios for people to play, and then tabulate the results. We typically do those on about a 2-week cycle. So you have 2 weekends to get your games in. So.
Yeah, I know. I got my buddy Richard Sanders, who likes to play Russians down there in the Atlanta area, and here's his buddy likes to play German. So there's an easy matchup right there. Yeah, I'll get a hold of those guys, and that's at least 2 players I know that would do it. No problem.
Well, typically we'll have a couple dozen.
Yeah,
Last
right.
few times we did this, we'll get reports from all. So something to get excited about. We're still into the D-Day phase. Still looking forward for the SS book to close it out. But we kind of, we had our Wolf Craig our big blue on blue or red on blue D-Day event, and that was fun. And we did have and we'll talk about this in future events coming up when we get to it. Maybe it'll still happen, maybe not. But there's at least another D-Day themed event that I'm really interested in. We'll cover that here in a few minutes. So, in any case, anything else you want to work on in the near future, Ed?
No, I got some odds and ends. I'm just trying to tighten up and then get them ready to go. That's about it.
How many teams have you painted for this year?
Oh, over 200.
Really?
Yeah. Believe it or
Wow.
not.
Since January 1st?
It's mainly, yeah.
Wow.
Already, yeah. They're primary infantry odds and ends, a lot of command stands, flamethrower teams for the Germans, command teams, all those extra pieces that I had.
Wow.
Yeah, they're about 200.
I've done 90 teams as of this morning, and
wow.
I thought I was doing great. I'm trying to keep one team per day average.
Well, my stuff has been little stuff, and then I've got tanks which are about halfway done, and once they're done, it'll be a substantial. But I'm doing one color at a time, covering a whole lot of stuff. And they're Americans. There's not a lot of color and stuff to that. It's just the detailing on there.
Yeah. Wow, pretty cool. I'm amazed.
I'll
need
take a
to
picture of it. It's huge.
Yeah, I know you're always working on stuff, but it's like I keep a very detailed spreadsheet and kind of post updates on the forum on No Dice No Glory. So kind of mostly to keep myself focused and motivated.
Mm-hmm. Well, I take pictures of everything and I send them to you.
Not everything. I haven't seen
not everything. Yeah, because But I'm like halfway through with a whole lot of stuff too right now. So all it take is some finishing.
All right.
Yep.
Well, Ed, why don't you run us through the events that are on the schedule for now? And of course, a lot of them are going to be kind of situational. But let us know what's coming up here in the distant future, I guess.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at it. We have the event here at Elizabethtown, the Team Yankee 120, on the 4th of April.
Yeah, and that one's canceled. That's not happening.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that would be.
And no reschedule announced. It's just done.
Okay.
Okay,
right,
so what's
anybody going to that, turn around. It's not going to happen there.
right?
Okay, the other one in April I'm looking at is it's in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Dogs of War 2020 on the 11th of April. It's a late war tournament, a de-escalation.
Okay.
And I don't have points on there, so I'm not sure how much it is.
Sure. That one's on the Battlefront forum. That's where I got that info from, and I haven't seen any updates on that one being canceled or postponed yet. But that's kind of in the danger close. I would definitely want to follow up with the organizers and make sure that's happening. But it's possibly going to be pushed back or something. But 18 April, probably a little close in. So okay. So what's next?
Yeah, the 18 April one in Daycon.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah. 11 April was the Oregon, but 18 April Daycon, and we know that one's been rescheduled. When was it rescheduled for, Tom?
Yeah, so Daycon, which John Meyer was running, a Team Yankee 120 pointer, was going to be April 18th, but now it's been pushed back to August 14th. So I think that's a week before Gen Con. So Daycon is Dayton, Ohio, by the way, a big convention, and that's definitely postponed until August, but at least it's on the calendar.
Okay, that's good. We might be able to hit both of those.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one I got for April is the 25th of April, Mid-War 75 point there, run by Legions there in Pittsburgh.
Great. And that's when in April?
It is a Mid-War 75 pointer.
Yeah, what time in April, though? What date?
Oh, the 25th.
Okay, well, that's getting more into the realm of possible. So that's hopefully by then we can start doing some stuff. But that's, of course, again, with all of these, just stay tuned, follow up with the tournament organizers and make sure that things are still running, because it's kind of iffy right now, right?
Yeah, they just don't know.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we got some stuff in May. I got three tournaments that I found here. We got a real cool one on Vietnam tournament there in Pittsburgh, also run by Legions on the 16th of May.
Okay.
So that'd be cool.
I know
you got a lot of Vietnam stuff.
Yeah, we could both go. You could
I'd
run
have to
my.
play your stuff though.
Oh, I got plenty of it.
I don't have any VitNab stuff.
We could do two. I could do two forces of the communist and one U.S. force. Heck, I even got the boats. We could do the riverine patrols. I'm not sure
Oh,
the
that'd be
boards would
cool.
support that, but we could try it.
Yeah, you get
So,
some really cool figures with that. I bought
yeah,
my dad the M48 tanks because he was there at that time. So
nice,
anyway,
nice.
so let's see. We got the 23rd of May in Washington State at Olympia called Inflid 2020.
Enfilade, yeah.
Yeah. It's a late war tournament. I don't have the points on it though, but it's the 23rd of May.
Okay.
And also on the 23rd of May, the same place and location, you got a Team Yankee Oil Wars event. It's doubles, so you pair up with your buddy and go at it.
Is it the same date?
Both of those were the 23rd of May
Okay,
in
because
Olympia, so they're going to run those simultaneously.
yeah, well, Enfilade, whatever, is a large West Coast wargaming convention up in Seattle. So it's an annual thing. It's kind of like Advance the Colors, or like up in Springfield, Ohio.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering if it was a Friday, Saturday setup, or if you had to choose between the two. I mean, the Team Yankees double sounds pretty cool. You and I have never played a doubles event. We just don't see those offered enough in our area. So we need to. If we go to Historicon in July, they will have a doubles event. So hopefully we can swing that. So okay, cool. Anything else?
Just we had the 5 of June Daikon. They're in Collinsville, Illinois. We've been to that before.
Yeah. Will Yankowski is going to be running. I think he's still kind of course, assuming it's going to happen, but I think he was looking at a 2-day event, a Saturday, Sunday, Flames of War and Team Yankees. So that might be something to keep your eyes on.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's Collinsville. We've been out there, 2 or 3 times?
At least twice. At least I've been there twice. I don't know if you went there before. I think
small.
You did. You went before I got into the game system.
Yeah, it's a small convention, but it was about a 5-hour drive for us. But I kind of like it out there.
Nice facility and well run. And Yankowski does a great job.
Yeah, Will does a good job with it. And then another one that I know of that's not on the list there, still tentative, is our buddy Carl up in Cincinnati. He's planning a D-Day themed event. I believe it's on June 6th. So, the actual D-Day. And the first round is going to be beach landings. So, not exactly sure how that's going to work. Possibly you can switch beach landings and airdrops. So if you're playing the first round, the allies have to either be hitting the beach or paratroop forces. So if your paratroops, I
don't normally play allies, but I am painting up my paratroopers and my glider troops. So
yeah.
And I got my 29th also that needs to be finished up. So I might be playing Americans if I go there.
Yeah. So are your paratroopers U.S. paratroopers?
Yeah, U.S. paratroopers.
Do you have?
That's what I'm working right now. I got 2 full platoons of paratroopers plus the headquarters element.
Cool.
The heavy machine guns. I got heavy machine guns. I got the mortar section. I got the whole thing. All the formation units.
Are they the plastic or the older metal ones?
Yeah, these are the plastic. Well, the paratroopers are the plastics.
Okay.
The glider troops and my 29th.
Yeah,
those are all metal.
Yeah, the 29th assault, deep beach assault guys were all metal. Pretty cool. Yeah, you got all those special bases with the what are those crosses that sit out in the sand? Those
the tank.
The
barricades.
The things that rip off the bottoms of the landing craft.
Landing craft, yeah. I'm not sure what those are called, but they got the mines on them. They also got the
mines are
edge. Yeah,
the mines are teller mines. I mean, those are the ones that have the little kind of pole with a explosive charge at the end, and then they have those ones that look like a big jacks dice. Like a not like a tetrahedron. You know what I'm talking about, the little cross. The railroad tie kind of things that are in a cross formation. Stands freely on its own. I forget what they call those things.
I've got all that stuff. I was making the D-Day board in my game room. Yeah. So got all those barriers, all the different type of beach obstacles.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of them. But
we've already done one beach landing at my house. Remember, we had that with Don and Charles came over and we ran the one of the new scenarios. It was pretty cool because the attackers had 100 points and then they recycled stuff every time something was destroyed. It just recycle it, and then the defenders only had 50 points, but also had all those beach defense points. So they had bunkers and traps and nests and minefields and stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was a good game. So yeah definitely got to do some more of that. We need to continue to game D-Day stuff while we continue to paint and get ready for Bagration this summer.
Yeah, I got most of my stuff already ready for Bagration.
Oh yeah, you got tons of Soviets. So
I've got so many Soviets.
Yeah, I sold my Soviet infantry, so I need to. But I already have the blisters. I've had the blisters. That's why I sold them, because I had the replacements already on hand. So I need to just
paint those up. You got the German stuff, and I've got the Russian stuff, and
I got tons of Germans too. So it'll be great. Oh yeah, and I have that Tiger formation, the 7 Tiger 1s that are for the 505th Schwer Panzer out on the East Front. It's pretty. So they're specific. The knights, the charging knights on the side of the turrets.
Charging knights,
yeah, those guys. So
with the lance.
Yeah, so good deal. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Ed, any final thoughts there for the field?
No, I'm just getting real excited about the final supplement for the Germans for the D-Day, and then looking forward to the summer Bagration.
Yeah,
a lot of good playing coming up. As hopefully this coronavirus will clear up so we can get together and actually start knocking it out.
Yeah, and everybody out there, stay safe. Do all the state recommended precautions of social distancing and frequent hand washing, and don't put your hands up in your face.
Sometimes people just do it subconsciously. They don't realize they're doing it, even though they know they don't want to do it, but they end up doing it anyway.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed this episode, and if you enjoyed the Joe Lewis interview, next we've already recorded our next interview for Heroes of the Hobby with Anthony Berger up there in Columbus, Ohio. So he'll be on the next edition. And please let us know what you think. You can send your comments into podcast@battlevault.com, and we'd love to hear it. And we're also happy to hear your feedback on Facebook, or for No Dice No Glory Facebook, or on the NoDiceNoGlory.com forums. So please check us out and let us know how we're servicing your podcast needs for Flames of War and Team Yankee. With that, you want to say goodbye, Ed?
Yeah, goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye. All right. Stay healthy, and you too, so we can get some gaming as soon as this clears.